Hi. I don't really know how to make a video. My mom is the one who makes these videos, so if I look somewhere else, I'm not being rude, I just have anxiety and it stops me from looking at cameras and making eye contact with people. So this is a interesting video. I am going to log my losing weight journey. I'm not going to call it Slimming World journey. I'm not going to lose it like a Weight Watchers journey. I don't follow, I don't go to a group. I just follow the Slimming World plan. I just don't go to groups. I did before the pandemic. And to be honest, it was an experience and a half to go to a weight losing group. And because I was one of the youngest people in that group at the time, it was very daunting. But I'm here for the people who are younger, like me, who struggle with losing weight or have gained a lot of weight and don't really know what to do. Because I have now become this person that I don't want to be, and I've never wanted to be this person. To be honest, being on the camera today is enough to make me feel horrible about myself. I could cry about how much I hate looking at myself at the moment. So let's go. I'll just have a bit of an introduction as to who I am and where I think this channel might go in the future. So my name is Chloe. My username on here it's Righteousaw, Chloe Righteousaw. It's been a nickname I've had for many years. Back in the days of MSN. If everyone can remember those days, especially my age, we all grew up with coming home after school and having MSN message, like the messenger on our laptops, computers, you name it. And that's where my nickname came from. It was from a friend and it just sort of stuck. So I use it a lot when I can't think of a name, so it's just always there as a nickname. But my family call me Aunt Flo. So that's a little bit about me. I'm 29 years old. I have recently relocated back from Plymouth down in Devon. I have lived in the village that I am currently now for a very long time with my mom. I grew up here. I was always quite active, but always had a problem with my knees, which would kind of hinder how much exercise that I would do. I went through all the time of like going to every sport you can think of, and by the end of that day I was in so much chronic pain that I wouldn't be able to do anything else. But that's a story for another day. And then I gained a lot of weight when I was in a relationship with somebody who was not the right person for me, and I got up to 18 stone. 18 stone in my eyes was enormous, absolutely enormous, and I never thought that I would ever get there. And then when I stood on the scales for the first time, I was heartbroken. I thought, well, this is it, this is the end of my life. I don't want to do this anymore. But what really kicked it in for me that I needed to lose weight was I went out on a family trip with my mum, my dad, my sister and her ex-partner who has recently passed away a year ago, unexpectedly, and my brother. I am the eldest of 3 children. I'm 29. My sister is 24, 5. She's either 24 or 25. And then my brother is 23. We will always remember that because his birthday is in the year of the 2000s. So whatever the year is, that's how old he is. It's very easy to remember. So when we went away to this trip to Thorpe Park, I was really excited. I hadn't been for a long time. And I honestly was just really excited to go on the rides and just have a nice time with my family because we didn't do a lot of that stuff. And my mum had already lost a load of weight and she was really excited to go on the rides because it's been a long time since she had been on a roller coaster. And so we get there and we find out that she was having trouble with like motion sickness. She woke up in the morning and she was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm going to be sick. Like it was really, really strange. We drove all the way there and then my mum didn't go on anything. And because I felt bad that mum didn't like go on anything, well, she went on the Rumba Rapids. I remember one time it was like Robina themed or something, but yeah, other than that, there wasn't anything that she really went on. And so when I was with my mum and my dad, everybody else went on these rides, and there was like one I didn't want to go on. It was one that like completely just kept spinning, and I was like, I know for a fact I'll be sick. I don't do well in traveling in cars, so being on one that just constantly keeps spinning, I was like, that's not for me. I'm not doing it. So I stayed outside with mum, and it came to I was like, oh, I'll just see if, even if I wanted to go on that ride, whether I could sit in the tester seat, because some rides had the tester seat outside of that ride, so you would, to see if you fit or see how it goes across you. And in my mind, I was like, I know I'm large, but I also have quite a large bust area. I always have done from the age of like, well, when puberty hit me, my boobs grew enormously, I'd say enormously fast without realizing. Yeah, so yeah, I had a large bust, and that was always like something with me I was a bit funny on, like, oh, I can't wear t-shirts normally, etc, etc. So I went to go get in this tester seat, and my mum went to go help me put it over my head and to go put it across my body, and unfortunately it didn't click. It was like this far away from being able to click in, so for it to be safe. I got very upset. It hit me immediately that this was a problem, that I was going to have difficulties with different seats and be able to go on the rides that I wanted to go on. So after that, it was like almost like lunchtime when I had this realization, and I got very upset, and my mum was like, it's okay, we're gonna go home later and we can talk about what you want to do and stuff like that. And I saw an old book from Slimming World, like, you get like the starter packs, and she had one of those that I was like following like bits and bobs out of it for a while. So that would have been in like the May time when we went to Thorpe Park, and then I did like a month and a half or so of not going to a Slimming World group, but just following like how many sins I was allowed a day, what I can eat a day, like, and stuff like that, like just like finding what my free foods were, what my speed foods were, what was sinned, what wasn't, and stuff like that. So it was very higgledy-piggledy all over the place, but I had my mum there who was following it religiously, and she helped me out. So I did all of that for a month and a half or so, and I lost roughly a stone. So but when I went to Slimming World for the first time, I went in, I got my own starter pack, and I was extremely nervous about standing on the scales because I hadn't actually stood on the scales at this point. I just knew that I was 18 stone, I was huge, and that's all I kept thinking was, oh my God, I'm so fat. Oh my God, I'm so fat. And I went in and I stood on the scales for the first time, and it said, you're now 17 stone, like 17.1 or something like that. It was really, really close to 17 stone. And I was like, oh my God. Or no, I was in the 17 stone, but it was like almost in the 16 stone. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I've lost weight, not by even going to any groups. And my mum was like, I'm really proud of you for doing what you had been doing, but now I think I've given you everything that I can teach you. I think you will need like the group's help, and go in and they might be able to give you some pointers and stuff like that, which was exactly what they did. I was also working as a housekeeper at the time, so I was always moving. So I was lifting beds. I was lifting beds, constantly moving, pushing heavy trolleys, cleaning constantly, lifting duvets every day, fluffing up pillows. Like, I was always moving, and I could feel that the trousers that I was wearing were getting a little bit less tight around my tummy. And I was like, that's fantastic. I'm obviously going in the right direction. Instead of me having like a can of Red Bull and a packet of crisps for my 20-minute break, I was then having something that I brought in. So like a banana, apple, and orange, or not an orange, like a satsuma, something easy. Or like I'd made myself something specific to eat at lunch. And it was healthier than the packet of crisps that I really badly wanted. But I was like, I'm not doing that. Not this time. So I then kept up with Slimming World. I then lost another 2 stone, 2.5 stone. To which that led to like 3.5 stone in total, but 2.5 with them, with Slimming World. And then I was starting to feel great. I loved myself a bit more. I felt more confident in myself. I looked clean. How sometimes your skin can feel like really horrible. And like, I'd been drinking a lot more water and all this stuff. And I just felt so much better in myself. And I felt like me again. So then the pandemic hit. I'd been not following the diet 100%, but I wasn't gaining weight that fast. So I was like, oh, that's fine. And then when the pandemic hit, it all went out the window. I wasn't going out for a walk because we weren't allowed that long a time. I wasn't going to work, which completely cut out like my daily steps, my body magic, as what Slimming World would have called it. I couldn't do a lot of things that was helping me progress in my weight loss journey anyway. So I stopped going. And then I met my partner, who I moved to Plymouth to see and stay with and be with. And he was at university, and being a student, like living with a student, is a whole nother ball game. I have come to realise now that I have moved back. You don't eat very well. You sacrifice your healthy food for convenience. And I hate it. Like, it's a whole nother story for another time. But it is so easy in a city that is catered for mainly students for you to just consume fast food. In the space of one road, there was KFC, and Nando's, Five Guys, McDonald's. They then recently opened up a Popeye's chicken, and then you had like Cafe Nero, Costa, and like it was all down this one road. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. And now that I've left there, all that what would you call temptation? All that temptation that was there, it's gone. And it's like breathing a breath of fresh air. I've never been happier to be so far away from fast food. I've never been happier. And I've actually been, like, the first night that we were gonna have dinner, like a proper dinner here, I was like, I'm gonna get vegetables. Not that I'd never had vegetables when I lived there, back down in Plymouth, but it was more of a fact of it was such a rarity that we had them. So, like, I think the last time that we had, like, proper, like, sit-down meal that was properly cooked with vegetables and, like, potato, like, you know, you had your carbs and everything, it was probably Christmas Day. And I made a lot of food that I planned, but it wasn't planned to the extent of we're going, because we didn't have the space. So it counted out the fact of most of the time it was all tinned food. To be honest, I look back at it and I go, it was a great 2 years, but it was probably the worst 2 years for health-wise. I started getting more migraines. I gained my weight back and a bit more. My anxiety, my depression got worse. There was a lot of things that happened when I moved away, like my sister's ex-partner, I call him my brother-in-law, he passed unexpectedly last year, and I think I ate to comfort myself on that one. We still get a bit choked up about it, but we've got over the majority of it. We're still healing, unfortunately. Well, I say I still am, because we were so similar in age, and but then a few months before he passed, a good friend of mine who I worked with, literally we were attached, the buildings were attached, so I'd always see him working at the bar, but and I was doing housekeeping, so I'd walk through on my break, and he would come out and come and chat with me, and we had a really good time. But I'd known him for many years, and he left this world due to suicide, unfortunately, which is very upsetting. I will always put myself to one side of whatever problems I am dealing with to help others who need to talk. And me and my friend Sab, which is her username, I won't tell you her actual name, we started up a podcast, and it was all about mental health and talking about how and things that we loved doing. And we still have the podcast, but we just haven't recorded for ages, and it was like a main focus for me. If I don't have something to focus on, I'm not going to do anything else but eat, which is where my cross stitching comes in. I found that if I have something to do with my hands, I don't eat. So if my hands are busy with cross stitching, I won't eat anything, which is a good thing. Like, I won't go snack. I won't go out of my way to put my cross stitch down to go and find like a chocolate bar, a packet of crisps, something like that. So my goals for the next couple of months are stick with the plan. I'm going to write down what I'm eating, and I think drink more water at the moment. These are the goals that I'm going to do. I'm going to write things down. I'm going to drink more water and see how that goes. Just for, that could be for a couple of weeks. I will weigh in every morning on a Monday. So you start the week off with whatever those scales tell me. I hope to see you again. If I can keep this going, my confidence might completely dwindle, or it might escalate and we'll be doing this for the foreseeable future. We'll never know. But thank you very much. I'll see you next week, maybe. See how it goes. And yeah, toodaloo.